What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And before we get too far into this, I just want to say that if I look like I'm a little bit dead, I have been having the worst allergies in the last couple of days. So if my eyes look a little bit red, if I look a little bit exhausted, or I sound a little bit congested, that's why. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about a movie I had to check out just a tad early before its wide general release, and that is a movie called May December. Directed by Todd Haynes and written by Sammy Birch and Alex Mechanic, this film stars people like Natalie Portman, Julianne Moore, Charles Melton, and many more. So I actually meant to have this review out much sooner. It was going to come out in mid-November, as I was actually invited out by Netflix to an in-person early screening, but unfortunately was not able to attend due to my actual scheduling of my day job. But they actually sent me a digital screener for this movie as well as a physical screener to check out at home. So I just checked it out last night finally, and yeah, let's get into this one. This is an interesting film for sure. May December is a fictional tale in and of itself that is a story that is combined with a real story where you can go back to the 90s and find the story about this woman named Mary Kay Letourneau, who actually in her mid-30s decided to have a sexual affair with a middle school boy. This, of course, led to ramifications with legal issues, and they ended up actually continuing on this affair, with the two of them ending up getting married, having children, and having a whole life together. She actually passed away in 2020, and they were getting a divorce in 2018, but this is something that went on for many years. This was a 12, 13-year-old boy, and she was in her mid to late 30s. Of course, as you can imagine, that was all over the tabloids and a big deal in the 90s, as it consistently seems to be an issue that we see in the world today. There was actually a movie that came out in 2000 that was called All-American Girl, the Mary Kay Letourneau story. Now, this movie itself, though, is a fictionalized version where all the characters' names have been jumbled. It, of course, is based on that original event. And in this story, you have Natalie Portman playing a woman named Elizabeth, who's coming to actually interview the couple, spend some time with them, as well as the other individuals who are around their life, to actually play the main woman in this story in a movie. Instead of Mary Kay Letourneau, you instead have Gracie, played by Julianne Moore, as well as the younger husband in this situation, played by Charles Melton, who plays the character of Joe. Same idea here, where you have this much younger guy who is now married to this much older woman, and of course they had this affair all that time ago. And Natalie Portman's Elizabeth is now coming in as this actress who wants to learn everything she can about their situation, learn everything she can specifically about Julianne Moore's Gracie, so that she can portray this woman in a film. In and of itself, it's already a pretty bizarre concept. It's already a kind of weird concept to have a fictionalized story about an actress coming to play a woman who did something pretty fucked up and very nasty abuse situation here. And so you have a real life story that's combined with this fictionalized tale. And I actually went into this thinking that this movie itself was actually based on a true story itself, but it's actually not. And right out of the gate, the thing to note about this film are the performances, as Julianne Moore, Natalie Portman, and Charles Melton all give phenomenal performances throughout the course of the film, keeping me completely gripped to the screen throughout the course of time. Of course, Todd Haynes and Julianne Moore have worked together before, and you can definitely feel that chemistry when it comes to her feeling comfortable in front of the camera and giving a performance that is very uncomfortable throughout the course of the film. The film is also accompanied by a great musical score given to us by Marcelo Zarvos, who actually brings us a score that's piano heavy, that feels very much like something you would have heard in a movie in the 90s, oftentimes making it feel slightly goofy, but with the tone of the film oftentimes also adding to the haunting nature of what we're seeing here. This film has a lot of various things going on, as again, you have Natalie Portman now in this situation, having to kind of learn everything she can about this world. At first, she meets Gracie and she seems like this nice, kind woman, but as time goes on, she recognizes that she's filled with insecurity that often leads her to gaslight those around her, most notably her much younger husband, of course, the character of Joe, played by Charles Melton, who does an incredible job in this film. He's somebody that I've seen in movies here or there, but not somebody I'm overly familiar with, and his performance here honestly was pretty phenomenal, as I found him to be somebody who over the course of the film is able to capture this innocence about him, as he was a young boy when he got into this romantic affair with a much older woman, and it kind of stunted his growth mentally as a man and an individual. He doesn't really have the same autonomy that a lot of other people would have as time goes on, as they get older and they mature. And it's throughout the course of the events of this film, and having this actress there who's trying to uncover more about their life so that she can take that into the film that she's going to portray Gracie in, that he's starting to recognize the abuse he actually went through. He's having a lot more questions about the life that he's built with this much older woman, and it's throughout the course of this film that he's recognizing this while still being somebody who is clearly incredibly immature. And I think that Charles Melton does an incredible job of capturing the essence of somebody who's going through something like that throughout the course of the movie. Natalie Portman is an interesting one in the mix as well, because she is there on a professional level to do what she can to learn about the real people involved in this story, but there is a part of her that seems a little scandalous herself, that is enjoying being a part of the behind the scenes of this scandalous story, and it oftentimes makes you beg the question of, is there a line to cross when it comes to actors and actresses coming into playing real life stories, and are sometimes these really traumatic and messed up stories something that can just be enjoyable or sometimes cool for an actor when it is somebody's real life. There is a scene in this movie in particular between Charles Melton and Natalie Portman that very much, touches on that idea that this is Charles Melton's character's Joe's real life. He really is this young teenage boy who's now in his mid-30s. He's about the same age as Natalie Portman's character Elizabeth in this film, but they're not in the same place in life mentally. He's had to live this life the way he has, and she's coming in as this actress who just finds it to be a fascinating tale about the gray area of morality in life, and she's kind of enjoying the scandalous nature of it, and he starts to struggle a little bit with that because he's recognizing that his life is kind of being made out to be this scandal, when in the reality it is this tragedy on his hands. He is this victim of sexual abuse, where a woman in her 30s decided to take him on a ride for sex and ended up marrying him and raising children with him. I think it goes without saying, with everything I've already said, that this is the film that I don't think is going to work for everybody, as there are tons of elements about this film that are going to leave people uncomfortable, as the source material itself and the subject matter is incredibly uncomfortable. And there's tons of scenes in this film, while both riveting from a performance standpoint and the way that it's shot, the way it's put together, that are uncomfortable to watch. I think Natalie Portman does an incredible job of leaning into playing this actress who oftentimes is taking it a little bit too far for the sake of getting the best performance that she can possibly get. And so through that, there are some moments that Natalie Portman completely commits to performance that oftentimes made me and everybody I was watching it with feel rather uncomfortable. I think Julianne Moore is obviously a name that people are going to be talking about when it comes to this film. Her performance reminded me a lot of the mother in Carrie, the remake that she actually did, where she is playing this very uptight, very controlling mother who oftentimes is incredibly insecure and has this controlling hand not only on her substantially younger husband, but also the various children that they have, oftentimes leaving her to be a very gaslighting individual that is hard to really read. And it's over the course of the film that Natalie Portman's character Elizabeth is slowly able to recognize that this woman isn't as nice and as appealing as she seems at first. May December is actually going to be hitting Netflix on December 1st, later this upcoming week. It's actually currently in a theatrical limited run. Maybe you have that going on in your area if you're interested in checking it out. But I'm very curious to hear what people think about this film, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments about your thoughts on this movie. I think May December is going to work for some and not work for others due to both the subject matter and the pacing of the film that I oftentimes found very slow, but I honestly genuinely found the film to be very entertaining and gripping because of the dramatic nature of the narrative that we're following here. There's a lot of questions that this movie poses about sexual abuse victims, gaslighting, and on the other hand, with characters like Natalie Portman, the idea of actors or actresses taking a real life story and kind of being able to almost find enjoyment out of the scandal that is somebody's real life. Definitely curious to hear what people think about this movie. I think there's going to be a lot of various takeaways. I don't think this is going to be a smash hit that everybody's going to love, but I do see this movie being something that's going to be talked about in award contention as we get closer to the Oscars and the various other award shows that are going to be coming out soon. A big thanks to you guys for watching, and definitely let me know down below, are you guys looking forward to checking out May December? If you've already seen it, what are your thoughts on the movie? Whatever the case may be, leave any and all comments down below, and I'll see you beautiful people in the next one. Bye-bye.